Good morning. Today we're going to be exposing Bob Lonsberry. Seems like this is too bright. We're just working out the glitch here. But the bottom line is I'm going to be talking about bail reform and understanding the facts. But Bob Lonsberry here seems to believe that all the Democrats, the blacks and the Latinos of Rochester, uh, should move out of Rochester. And Bob believes that blacks and Latinos are all Democrats and that um, the bail reform is a bad thing, says Bob Lonsberry. Now, here's why bail reform is a good thing. Number one, bail reform was created to alleviate overcrowding in the jail system. To alleviate overcrowding in the jail system because bail reform does not apply to everybody. Bail reform applies only to people who are not on parole. So if you're not on parole, then you could be released under bail reform. If you're on parole and you do break the law, you're not subject to a bail. First of all, only a county court judge can set a bail on a person with a criminal record. And if you're on parole, parole will issue a warrant because you're violating your parole. Bail reform does not apply to parolees, Bob. And secondly, um, most of the people who are enjoying the bail reform are juvenile delinquents and first time felons, Bob. Now, if you're a flight risk and you get arrested and go to jail, bail reform does not apply to you. Bail reform was created, like I said, to alleviate overcrowding in the jail because people would be arrested for $50 thefts, $20 thefts, and sent to jail for a year. Now, there is the ROR, release on your own recognizance status, and pretrial release. But not everybody can meet pretrial release or be ROR'd if they have a criminal record. They're not entitled to a bail. If I get arrested and go in front of a local judge, they have to remand me to the jail because they can't set bail if I'm a criminal. In any case, also bail reform was created so that defendants can participate in their cases because public defenders and attorneys weren't effectively representing people because of the heavy caseload. So, with people being out of jail, they could participate in their defense, study, do research, go to adequate law libraries, and fight their case. And that was a huge reason why the bail reform was appealable to Democrats. So, these topics um, you just butcher it, Bob, because a lot of people who get arrested, if they're on parole, they're not subject to bail. They get a parole hold and they stay in jail and could possibly be returned to prison unless they get put on the K calendar, have their parole hearing, put that on pause, fight the case and win. And then in that case, they wouldn't be, that time wouldn't be um, um, it's called delinquent time. So, bail reform only applies to first time felony offenders, to juveniles, to people without criminal records. And that's a fact. So, you can contact any court judge. Talk to a judge, Bob. Talk to a local court judge or a county court judge. People get remanded to jail all the time because they have a criminal record and the judge can't set a bail. Or people are going to jail now where bail reform has no part because an order of protection has to be issued. So people go to jail, and there's some now jails have programs like cap court. So you go to jail, you see the judge on a computer screen. They issue the order of protection, and you're released. But the judge doesn't have to release you, Bob. If you're a flight risk, uh, there's no bail. There's no way to get out of being a flight risk. So if a judge feels you're a flight risk, that's a remedy to the bail reform or to releasing somebody on ROR or pre-trial. There's not just bail reform, Bob. Bail reform helps the taxpayer by alleviating caseloads on the public defender because public defenders who are overworked and heavy burdened are ineffective. And most people end up in prison with their case on appeal, which ties up more litigation and things legally, which is good for this uh, system where we end up being the grease, Bob, the grease on the wheels. And so bail reform, it helps people who are not career criminals. And if a person is a career criminal and they break the law, there's something called presumption of innocence, Bob. Whatever happened to presumption of innocence? Presumption of innocence does not apply to a criminal who's broken the law and on parole because they will be violated on parole. Parole is a privilege, it's not a right, and it can be revoked. A parole officer can revoke anybody's parole. It's a privilege. Just like your driver's license, Bob, can be suspended. So can a parolee's freedom. Now, another point is, in your eyes, Bob's, there's no such thing as presumption of innocence. Now I get it. There's crime. Crime is rising in New York, in Rochester specifically, New York State. And that's because police the police are not properly doing their job. They're not properly trained. They're not properly supervised. They don't even know the law, and they open up their department to lawsuits. So we need to train the police better, and we need a better understanding of exactly how bail reform works, who it applies, how judges can remedy by simply entertaining the flight risk status. Or you're a career criminal, you have priors, and you're not entitled to bail. That goes on all the time. So just because a person is a Democrat doesn't mean it's a get out of jail free card. You only get out of jail after you're examined by the judge and the prosecutor who tells the judge why you should not be given a bail or how much your bail should be set at. It's called a bail hearing, Bob. I know you want to bash Democrats because they're black and Latino. Yes, we are. But for you to come to Rochester from your ranch in Mount Morris on your drive into Rochester, how dare you come into this beautiful historical place and tell people who belongs there and who doesn't belong there? You've gone from a radio personality to a bully, Bob, and I believe you're racist. You're a white, good old boy Republican with nothing better to do than to bash my people and the people in Rochester who are the victims of crime. That's why you want them to move out of Rochester, Bob? To protect them? Because the police can't do their job? How is Kathy Hochul responsible for the crime rate increasing? That's like saying Kathy Hochul's responsible because a surgeon wasn't able to successfully transplant a heart. Kathy Hochul is not holding the scalpel, Bob. Kathy Hochul is a Democrat, a different pocket to this pair of pants that you happen to be part of, Mr. Republican. Same pants, different pocket, Bob. But anyways, let me just say this before I sign off here. Presumption of innocence is a guarantee under the U.S. Constitution. If a person is a criminal or on parole and has a record of arrest and prosecutorial sheet, better known as a rap sheet, bail reform doesn't apply to them. It doesn't apply to them. The judges know it, the prosecutors know it, and I don't think you know it. Maybe you need to become more informed on how that works, Bob, but Stay in Mount Morris. Stay in Mount Morris, Bob. We need to boycott you. You're a racist, and I'm going to be looking into this more. So there you have it, folks. Let's try to understand bail reform, presumption of innocence, alleviating overcrowding. Let's find out exactly why bail reform was considered in the first place to help people prepare for a defense who are going to trial, who are protected by the U.S. Constitution, and prosecutors have the burden of proof. They have the burden of proof, and the judges have to look at a defendant as he's innocent under presumption of innocence, a guarantee by the U.S. Constitution, Bob. And for you to come on here and bully people and say who should live where and who shouldn't live where and who should move and who shouldn't, that's that's racist. It's racist. And I think you're a white Republican, good old boy racist. Not because of an opinion, but because of the evidence before me here, Bob. So we're gonna educate the people. And thank you for hanging in there and watching this little old recording. Become informed. Don't believe everything you hear on the radio. This is total political bullying at its best, and it's wrong. It's not right, and Bob should be ashamed of himself. And if there's anything wrong that I said, show me. Show me. And I did talk to a public defender, Joanne Best, about bail reform. So maybe you need to do the same, Bob. Why don't you bring on a Democrat public defender and have a chat with them? Try that, Bob. In any case, have a great day. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.